Hello everyone. Today I'm with Ramona Munteanu and she's gonna tell us a little story about a specific composer, Carl Filtsch. How are you doing today?
Hello, Julio. Thank you very much. I'm doing well. I'm practicing carlfiltsch, so everything is fine.
So tell us the story. How did you first get in touch with his music? How did you discover this amazing composer?
Well, it is a little long story because Carlfiltsch is a composer that was born in Transylvania, very close to my hometown. I live in Cluj-Napoca, and he was born in Sebeș, so a few kilometers away. And I have heard of Carl Filtsch since I was in high school, in the conservatory there in Romania. But I have never studied, I have never got very close to this composer. I just knew that he was a child prodigy, that was also a composer, a virtuoso pianist, and I didn't know much. I knew that there was a competition every year since 1995, which was held in Sibiu, another beautiful city in Transylvania. And the chairman was a professor of mine from the Conservatory of Cluj-Napoca, from Academia Gheorghe Dima. And this is what I've known since a few years ago. After that, during COVID time, I think, I have made a little trip to the cemetery of Venice because I live in Venice for 19 years old. But I have never discovered that Carl Filtsch was born in Venice. Since maybe 2020, which was the period of COVID and also Acqua Alta here in Venice. It was a very strange period. And I walked through the cemetery of Venice looking for Diaghilev and Stravinsky. Stravinsky is also buried there. It's one of my favorite composers. And there are also other writers, football players like Ezra Pound, Herrera, like Joseph Brodsky. Many personalities are born in Venice, in the cemetery of Venice. By chance, I was walking through the Evangelic cemetery, and I found this monument, this sculpture on the wall, but it was all covered by some roots of some trees that were let's say, in front of this sculpture. So was everything hidden and was everything quite abandoned, which was very, very sad. And when I saw all of this, I said, "Oh my God, how is it possible that this little genius is forgotten? Because nobody took care of his grave and nobody took care of this space, this sacred space, let's say, because usually when someone important dies, people take care of the grave, then they put some flowers, they clean around, and this was completely abandoned. And then came to me that image that I had when I was still studying in Romania, and and I said, why wouldn't I do something for this composer? I would like to study his music to make people remember again his name, because here in Venice it's completely abandoned, no? So nobody knows about his existence. And like this, I started little by little. I started to look for his scores, for documents, for books, and after that, I was participating to a self-management course, and I had to present a project, no, very unique project, very something like it's not it's not something common, no. And it came to my mind, this Carl Filtsch, because I didn't take it very serious. I said, okay, let's look at the scores, let's read something, but I didn't think that I could do something really serious about it. And the teacher of this course, this self-management course, her name is Valentina Losurdo, was very, very enthusiastic about this project. She's working in the Radio 3 here in Italy. And she encouraged me to develop this idea, to take it serious, to record a CD and to do something more concrete about it. And so I so I did. And then I started to really study for good his music, to start to write, to read, and to take this project like my project. I made it my little project. This whole job, let's say, this whole research started 2 years ago, and in 2023 I presented it in Cremona Musica. In Cremona Musica, then I had some other concerts with Carl Filtsch and his teachers, because he was a student of Chopin mainly, but also of Friedrich Wieck, which was the father of Clara Schumann, of Mittag, which was the professor of
Yes.
Thalberg, and of Liszt for some lessons, not so much. When Chopin was away, Liszt gave some lessons to Filtsch. And so I had some concerts also with Carl Filtsch and his masters, his teachers, like Chopin and Liszt. I had some concerts in Pordenone. I had a concert in Düsseldorf in Germany with a lady that is called Dagmar Dusil, and she's a sponsor of the Filtsch competition, and she's organizes this salotti letterari, some literary musical and literary meetings, like concerts with readings that she writes and scripts that she writes. And recently I had a concert in Rome with
Yeah.
Carfield, Teatro di Marcello. And what I can see, the conclusion of this whole research and studying is that people love Carfield and love to meet him, and they're enthusiastic about his story. I still didn't say the story. I just say my story regarding Garfield, but I see that people love his music. It's such a beautiful and fresh and lively and deep music. It's incredible for a musician that died at 15 years old.
That's amazing. Tell us a little bit about his story. He died young, actually, right? And tell us about his music, the perception you have after studying it.
Well, he was born in Transylvania, and he had the fortune to have a father that was a genius, because sometimes the geniuses had also parents that were geniuses and teachers that were geniuses. So when he was only 3 years old, his father gave him some piano lessons, and also taught him many foreign languages like German, French, Romanian. So he had a really rich culture since he was a very, very little kid. And at 7 years old, his father brought him to the main teachers there in Transylvania, and organized some little concert with a little kid. And everybody was so amazed by his innate talent and his knowledge already, because he was practicing all day long, but was very, very natural to him. So was no effort. It was very funny because in one letter he said to his little friends, no, when he was a kid, "Oh, my friends, I have to go to practice piano. I cannot play right now. I will join you later." So by himself, he was very serious kid, and also very mature kid. And so his progresses were already fantastic. And then at 7 years old, he found this mecenate, this woman that sponsored him. That was the Jeannette Banfi, a parent of the governor of the Transylvania, Banfi, the Count Banfi. And she gave him a lot of money to go to Vienna to study with the father of Clara Schumann and with the teacher of Thalberg. In Vienna already was a center of classical music in Europe, and he could go to the best concerts, the best operas, He met Liszt, there he met Thalberg, he made friends with a lot of musicians. He played also for hands with the emperor, and he had a really amazing environment. So he could flourish and he could develop the highest. And then Liszt also told him like this, that he cannot treat him like a teacher, but he has to treat him like a colleague, because even if they had a different of age, they were completely colleagues. I mean, they were musicians in the same level. Because Carl Filtsch was born in 1830, so of course he was younger than Liszt and Chopin, but not so much, like 20 years, 19 years, so not such a big difference. And he started touring already. He started to play the music of Thalberg, the music of Herz, and other composers of that time, but also music of Mozart, of Beethoven, of other, let's say, important composers that now we recognize as the main geniuses of that time. In Transylvania, everybody was completely out of their minds when the went back and started playing the piano, because his progresses were like huge. And then the next step was the main step of going to study with Chopin in Paris. So, same Janet Banfi gave him this amount of money to study 3 times a week with Chopin. Chopin never gave lessons to little kids, but this time he made an exception. And also, he was quite expensive, so his lessons were not that cheap, because he was one of the best teachers in Paris, besides the best composer and renowned pianist and everything. And immediately he fell in love with this kid. He said that nobody understood him like this little kid. So none of his students could play the way that this Filtsch could play. Even, for example, some of his students are talking in his memoirs that Chopin gave Filtsch some of his compositions that never gave to other to other students, like some waltzes or some mazurkas, and even his concertos. He bought concertos. And also, Chopin gave composition lessons to Chopin. You could even see the handwriting of Chopin in some of his compositions, some of the compositions of Filtsch, and even the influence of Chopin in his composition. Of course, not every compositions have has the influence of Chopin, but also of Liszt, of Thalberg, of Mendelssohn, and of his own, because he was already a genius with his own personality. He has like 20 pieces for pianos, almost 20. One is reconstructed by musicologists that basically found almost half of his compositions in the years 2000, 2006 from a grandnephews of his brother. Because, yeah, one thing that is very important, that in all of these trips in Vienna, in Paris, and other places, Carl Filtsch was accompanied by his brother Joseph. He was 17 years older, and his grandnephew kept like more than 10 piano pieces of Carl Filtsch in his own archives. I have no idea why. I have no idea why these pieces were basically hidden until the years 2000. But this musicologist did an amazing job by founding, editing all of these manuscripts, these pieces, and now all of them are published. It's quite difficult to find all of them, because this musicologist had a website, and since he died like maybe 6 years ago, the website is not no longer available. But I have all of these pieces, and I would like to publish them in a new edition, because there are some editions, but they were limited editions, and there is no edition that contains all of the piano works of Filtsch. Going back to his life, in Paris, he had this great opportunity to study with Chopin and to hear Bellini, which was a muse for Chopin and also for Filtsch. For example, two of the piano pieces of Filtsch had themes of Bellini, of operas of Bellini. And we know that Chopin loved Bellini. He almost cried when he heard Norma for the first time, and you can feel that his music is completely in symbiosis with this bel canto Italiano, and especially Bellini, which is so pure and so beautiful. It's nothing too much, nothing too. I mean, this beauty is really natural and simple and spontaneous, like in Chopin's music and also in Carl's music. But unfortunately, like his teacher, also Carl Filtsch had this tuberculosis, this terrible sickness that was very famous, very popular in that time. So basically, the doctors told him to go to Venice to cure himself. What happened is that the doctors told him to take baths in the sea here in Lido, where I go every summer. But to take baths in February seems that was not such a good idea because, well, his health didn't get better, and yeah, in basically in 1844 he got sick, and 1 year later, basically, poor Carl didn't make it anymore. I mean, basically he died here in Venice before turning 15. So in May, he was born in May, he died in May, and yeah, his grave is here in San Michele, in the cemetery San Michele. So basically, his life was very, very intense, but very short. Unfortunately, very short. So
Yeah, it sounds sad. Maybe he could have composed a lot of work, and this is a very short life, but full of intensity, right?
yes, yes,
And
yes.
what are the plans you've got? For example, you said he has about 20 pieces for piano, more or less, which are found. Which ones are you gonna play?
Now for the concert in Rome, I played 10 of them because I was also reading some letters, some beautiful letters from Chopin, from himself to his parents. I want to say this one memorable phrase about Filtsch that was said by Liszt, that when this kid will, will start touring all over, I will have to close my bottegas and my atelier, well, I will have to quit basically. So let's say that was also a little bit frightening for the other composer, the presence of little Filtsch, because he was too good, he was too brave for his age. So basically, even Chopin said one day, he's not the future Liszt or the future Thalberg, he is Carfield, so he's unique. He will not be like them, he will be like himself. So, yeah, he was basically. No, they were predicting a golden future for Carfield, and also like Mozart, like Mendelssohn, like child prodigy, but the fate was very, very cruel with him. So we don't know what could have happened. Yeah, so for the concert, I think more than 10 pieces is too much because already I had 1 hour and 20 minutes between playing and reading some letters. But taking away the letters, I think I will record like 15 or 16 pieces. I studied 18 pieces, so maybe I'll record all of them. What I didn't study is the fantasy on themes of Bellini, which is very beautiful, but this was reconstructed mainly by Ferdinand Gajewski because he found parts of this. It's like a potpourri, different themes, different things put together by Gajewski. And it's very interesting piece, but let's say it's a more than fragments put together than a piece that was taught from the beginning to the end. That's why, because he didn't find the whole manuscript. So that one I'm not going to record, but maybe I will record later. I will also ask some composers to maybe check. Maybe we can do another kind of transcription. Who knows? Because it's quite difficult to put together, to play it in a very fluent way. The other pieces instead are the pieces that are well known. The first 8 pieces that were written by Filtsch, like Opus 1, it's Andante Notturno. Opus 2, there are variations on the theme of Bellini. Opus 3, there are 3 pieces very beautiful, very lyric, like Mazurka, Romanza senza parole, Barcarola. And then there are not all of them in order of opus. For example, there are 2 impromptus similar to Chopin, even not identical, but I love them a lot. 2 impromptus opera postuma. There is a Fantasie Dramatique Opus 22. This was a very recent piece. I mean, one of those pieces found by Gajewski. Very beautiful, very operistic, and very fantasy-like, a little bit in the way of Thalberg and Liszt. Let me think about it. There is a nocturne. There is another adieu, besides the well-known adieu from Venice, which is the last piece written by Filtsch here in Venice. And also there are some other pieces, some little pieces, 6 liter prelude, some album blatt, which, for example, the 6 liter preludes, I think there is very good piece to study by kids, by children, because there are really polyphonic pieces, like a little bit inventions, maybe even easier, but very, very contrapuntal pieces. So not easy, not easy. Of course, there is the mazurka, which is very similar to Chopin. Liederone forte, romanza senza parole, similar to Mendelssohn, and so on. Well, I will have to see how much will enter into the CD, because there are like 75 minutes at the most. So I will see what I like the most. For sure, the 10 pieces, for sure. There is also Prelude and Fugue in C minor, very, very beautiful, very interesting. So basically, he composed in the Baroque style, in a classical style, like the variations, romantic style, of course, romanza senza parole, impromptu, mazurka, and so on. And basically, his style is very fresh and very, very beautiful, very deep, and more like a first romanticism. It's not like the last romanticism of Liszt, but of course, he died in 45, so we cannot expect too much. So I'm practicing, and I'm really, really very passionate about this whole subject, and I will continue also my research on these pieces and of his life, because there is not so much written in this with this argument.
Thank you very much for telling us this story. It was a fantastic composer, and this work you're doing is very important. Congratulations. Thank you for being here. And what are your plans for the near future?
Well, my very, very future plan is to record this CD. Next month, I will have the recording, and then I would like to make it published, to make it well known, to distribute a little bit the CD, to have some concerts with this CD, the presentation of CD, and also with this his letters, his stories, because it's very, very important not only to play him, but also to tell his story in a very fascinating way, because I see that people are really, really fascinated, because no, we love Chopin, we love Liszt, we love Debussy, and so on, but also there are so many composers that we don't know, which is reason to keep this path, to keep researching, and to keep no make them known, to make all of these composers known. I also have my team, my husband and a friend of mine that are helping me for the research and for the reconstructing of his grave, to make this place very beautiful again, because it was quite horrible. And I have also one of the pages of my website dedicated to carlfiltsch. And yeah, I would like to make some new collaborations with the competitions in Sibiu, the festival, with German, with the German filmmaker Brigitte Rodloff, who wants to make a film with Carl Filtsch, with Dagmar Dussel, the writer that is written the scripts for the concerts, the reading concerts of Carl Filtsch in Germany, Romania, and I would like to have these concerts also in Italy and also in other countries. I mean, it will be really, really beautiful. And yeah, after carlfiltsch, I'd like to keep going on this path, to discover some new composers that are worth of being of becoming live again, of becoming well known. And yeah, I would like to keep going.